What does it take to build a thriving health community that actually gets results? Well, Dr. Evelyn Scheinbaum is here to share exactly how she does it with her Hormone Hub community on Skool. We're covering everything from her unique mission-based structure to why she starts with mindset over tactics, and how she's creating real transformations through simple science-backed fundamentals.
Yeah,
Welcome, Dr. Evelyn Scheinbaum. Thanks for
thank you.
joining us today. And now, your community, the Hormone Hub, on Skool specifically, what inspired you to create this rather than using a traditional membership platform like a Facebook group?
So I was actually a school user before I
Mm,
had my own community. So I just really liked the platform. The way it was just it was very simple. Like you have the community, you have like a classroom where you can have, like content that you make that's specifically for your people. And I think Facebook, you might be able to put your stuff in there, but it's not the same. Also, I didn't really have social media, so
yes.
I don't enjoy being on Facebook, and I kind of enjoyed being on School. And also, eventually, I do use School as much as I love the free community as a part of the business. So having
Mm,
payment processing on it, kind of having everything in one, kind of made sense. And the more I'm here, the more I like the vibe of School in general. Like everyone that I meet in across communities is like they're here to learn. They're here because they want to solve a problem, or so either solve a problem for themselves or solve a problem for someone else. And Facebook is just like the feed of like the algorithm on Facebook or other social media platforms is just there to enrage you, and that's not
yeah.
the kind of like that's the opposite of what the people that I help need is to be enraged further.
Yeah. Oh, it makes a lot of sense. That's a big difference, isn't it? Where you
Yeah,
can tell that when you jump from School to Facebook, you can just feel more negativity almost.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah. Now, you've structured the community around this brilliant mission control theme, which is military style language. So, where did that creative concept come from, and how has it changed the way members engage in their health journey?
Yeah, I would like to move away a little bit from the word military, but I
Sure.
was thinking more of like detective spy theme
Ooh,
because I see, whenever I see a patient, there's a lot of almost detective work you have to do because you can have a symptom, but it can be related to so many different systems in your body. Like you can have, I recently made a couple posts in my community how I had a patient with insomnia that was driven by her digestive issues, right? So you need all the clues and figure out how to put them together, bringing them all together to really figure out why is this person experiencing this symptom that could be coming from so many different things. And the inspiration for having a theme in general came from another community called The Game, who talks is more about like that community is all about networking and creating a good community, just generally like what it takes to have a good community, a good network. And they talked about having a theme. I was like, oh, I never thought about having a theme because like I think about medicine or about like being a doctor and like it's supposed to be a serious thing, and they drill you in school to like be very professional and never let your patients know anything about your personal life, which there's a lot of merit to that, right? There are reasons why you don't want to get too personal with your patients, and this is a community which some members might become my patients. So it's this kind of gray area of like they're not the people in my community are not my patients, but they might become even like maybe in the future. So this other community kind of inspired me to make it a little bit more fun. So when thinking about a theme, I was thinking about okay, what makes sense with what I do, and I kept coming back to the idea of like there's both the mission and the detective. From on one side, the detective work that you have to do to figure out what is actually driving your symptoms, and then the mission idea of like for each individual, like kind of like like going on a mission themselves to take control of their health and take the steps that they need to take, and really taking it as a mission versus like sometimes it's very like, oh, do this hack or a challenge, and it seems like this insurmountable thing you have to challenge yourself instead of like no, like you just have to like be focused and committed and just take it one step at a time and
yeah.
complete the mission of recovering your health.
And I love that about healthcare too. That's why I got into it myself, the whole
Yeah,
investigative process.
yeah,
And
that's
it's
really fun.
exactly what you said, like a detective. And it's like, oh, all these symptoms and all these conditions, and this is their past history, and I wonder what it could be. It's a bit of a
Yeah.
puzzle, and it's kind of interesting in that sense. And the game, I'm also part of the game. They've got a bit of a Star Wars theme
Yes,
happening,
that was
which I
yeah.
think is awesome.
Yeah.
Now you've got a 5-day mini course, and it seems to be the entry point for your new members.
Mhm.
Can you walk us through why you chose this specific structure and the length, and what kind of results are you seeing from people who complete that course?
I'm part of a lot of different communities in school, so it was kind of learning how different people run their communities. And I
Mhm.
think ones that I engaged with the most had like something easy to do in the beginning, right? Instead of like diving into this 40-hour course or something like that, it like something that gives you a quick win. And I think 5 day, I don't know, like it's a little bit arbitrary to say 5 days, but I thought one day was too short. Like you'll do something and then maybe you'll move on and you'll forget. But if you do more than a week, I think is too much. So I felt like 5 days, each day of the week seemed like a good number. And the purpose there was to do like each video is like 2 minutes or less, right? And the direction is, and you can also skip it and just read the directions underneath. And there's one thing you have to do for each video, and they do sort of layer as you go through them. The few people that I've had that, because I just launched it like last month, so um, people that went through it so far have reported like the first day is just really trying to figure out which areas need the most work. And some people were surprised at the results of like, oh, I didn't even think about this area of my body affecting this other area. And then most of them have noticed an effect, because it's only a 5 days like mini course, so it's not like I'm solving all your health issues, but it's a few different things that they can try that they can noticeably see a difference when they do it. So that's really what I was looking for that kind of 5 day like intro. It's like, hey, this is actually way more powerful than it seems. And when you
Mm.
engage in it, like you notice, like, oh, like this is actually like I've noticed how my body reacted to this very simple exercise. And that's the goal. That's what I've seen. The people that have done it and have posted that, like, because I think every single person that did it like had like nervous system was the result. So I don't know what the other two at this point would do, because everyone got the result of like that area needed more work.
It's interesting, isn't it? Because you
Yeah,
see that popping up a lot. Nervous system
yeah,
resets seem to be quite popular these days, and
yeah.
it shows
We're
like
all
a lot of
stressed
people have.
out.
Yeah, yeah, right. It says a lot about society in general. But it's good because basically you're validating like small steps actually do make a difference,
Yeah,
and simple steps can go a long way. And it sort of makes people a bit more proactive in taking care of their health, because you think you have to put so much effort and work in, so much time in, but it's
yeah,
actually not the case. Little bits make a bigger
yeah.
difference.
Small, sustainable changes that you do consistently are way more powerful than trying to like overhaul. If you try to overhaul everything in one day, like you will burn out.
Yeah.
Plus, like you may not even see the benefits, because like a huge change, even if you're switching to a healthier diet, when you make a drastic change, sometimes your body doesn't react well to that.
Mm. No,
Yeah,
absolutely. And then you sort of revert back to your old patterns because it doesn't work and it
that
gives
too.
you a
Yeah,
negative impact.
yeah,
Yeah. And I've noticed you have a lifestyle assessment quiz, and that breaks into health into three core areas. So sleep, circadian rhythm, nutrition and digestion, and stress and nervous system.
yeah.
Why those three specifically, and how do they interconnect when it comes to hormone health?
Yeah, so I think I wanted to keep it. I was trying to figure out a way to keep the options, you know, small, because you don't want a giant like 10-page quiz for people to do on their first thing that when they join the community, but still make it broad enough that it covers most areas. And I
Mm.
think those three are just covers the most root cause of things.
Mm.
Almost, right? There's gonna be things that are different, but like just as a general, most people that I see either have a nervous system issue, so stress, um, that's usually stress related. They have a sleep circadian issue, because there's there that, but again, it's all tied together. Or they have diet is huge, but it could also be a digestion issue, not just the food that you eat, but also are you breaking it down? Are you absorbing it? Um, So from the moment that you eat to the actually producing of energy, there's a lot of steps in between. So, and they all relate to each other, like the nervous system, like going back to that client that I mentioned earlier, the one that had insomnia was driven by her digestive system, where her digestive issues were driven by her nervous system. Because it's her stress was like, when you're in fight or flight, you're not digesting food. And when you have a long history of stress or trauma, it doesn't have to be like huge trauma, but if it could just even be a demanding job and lack of sleep for 10 years, that could be enough to like just shut down or not. I don't want to use like huge, like scary words, but like slow your digestion enough that it's not functioning properly. And then it's causing you GERD and even anxiety because you're not digesting your food. So it's all really, it's all connected, like circadian rhythm, sleep, like circadian rhythm just has to do with the light and dark. And that is a direct effect on your hormones. Like if everyone's heard of cortisol and melatonin, those directly respond to light. So that's how light responds to affects the hormones, which is a circadian rhythm. And then cortisol, melatonin, awake or asleep. So that affects your sleep. If you're not sleeping well, that's a stressful. That's a stress affects your nervous system. Your nervous system doesn't allow you to digest. You're not going to get the building blocks to make your hormones, which were already, cortisol and melatonin already affected your hormones because those are two of the master hormones. So like it's all connected. But sometimes you have more issues in one area than another.
It seems to be like stress is the anchor of everything in a sense, because say when you're stressed, your body's stress response is redirecting your blood flow from, say, your digestive system to your muscles and your brain. So you need to be alert because traditionally, stress response was to, say, run away from predators. So our muscles needed to be needed to have all the blood flow, and so did our brain to be alert and active, and therefore our digestion slowed down because it was not as important in those moments. Yeah, exactly. And so these days, of course that affects your sleep, and of course that stresses you out a bit more and takes away your energy. It makes a lot of sense when you think about it.
Stress is huge right now, but it's not just the stress of of what people typically think of stress, which is, my boss yelled at me, or I'm in a bad relationship, or maybe financial troubles. I mean, those are definitely like part of it, but all the physical stress also translate to the same hormonal response. So like the circadian rhythm mismatch, right? So artificial lights at night, that also gets a stress response. Lack of sleep, that also gets a stress response. Overtraining, how many people are hitting the gym like 5 days a week and like that can cause a stress response. And then some of it like things like cold therapy, if you do it too much, it can get a stress response. So like it all adds up.
Yeah. Interesting about the cold therapy, because I remember seeing something where the ice bath thing is a bit unnecessary. You don't really need to do that. Just 30 seconds under cold water after your shower, it's enough if you really need to do that. What do you think?
I would say there's something to the ice bath from a mental perspective of sort of overcoming that discomfort beyond just the effect of the cold itself. I just don't think you need to do it every day. Or, it's more about it's more about the dose, right? Like the dose makes the poison. So it's about the dose. And also, where are you right now? Are you a 25-year-old man who, has doesn't have a lot of responsibilities, sleeps well? Then yeah, you could probably do a couple ice baths and you'll be fine. Are you a postpartum woman who is depleted, doesn't sleep, and and is not eating enough because they barely have time to, then no, you should not be in an ice bath. You're going to deplete yourself even more. So it's all about context. Like it's like exercise. It's a stressor. The benefit of cold is the response to the stress. The benefit of exercise is the response to the stress. So are you capable of responding to that level of stress? If you're not, then you shouldn't be doing it.
Yeah, that's a good point. So it's all situational. It all comes down to the person.
Context. Yeah, I love cold. I mean, I recommend cold, but context.
Yes. Yeah, absolutely. And everything in moderation and balance.
Yeah, everything.
Yeah. Now talking about your community and engagement, so what's been the most surprising thing for you about building a health community on Skool as a platform?
The most surprising? I feel like I don't know, everything. I don't know. I think it's like, I think what surprised me the most is the topics that people are interested in. I don't know why it
Mm.
surprised me, but it surprised, like when because I try to do like a presentation of like some kind of topic, like a little lecture. I'm
Yeah.
trying to do it twice a month now, but I was doing it once a month before. And I would ask the community what they wanted and put a poll. And I was always surprised by what people voted for. I don't know why. I was like, someone suggested detox, and for some reason, I guess I see it so much, like all the detox craze, that like that I was like, eh. And then I put it on there, and everyone voted for detox. I'm like, okay, I guess people want to know about what detoxification is. Like, well, but it wasn't like the green juice detox. It was more like the detoxification, like what the body actually does to detoxify, like innately, and how you can support it, which is great. I love that topic, but I surprised me that people were so interested in it. I don't know why.
I believe like I was one of those people, and I think it's the
It was
environmental.
unanimous. It was unanimous.
Yeah,
Every single person voted for that one when that one was an option.
there you go. But yeah, for me, it was the environmental detox, and it's something I've never thought about before. On one of our first calls, you mentioned the lighting in your when you sleep, for example, like how blackout blinds and you shut out
Yeah.
the complete artificial light from your bedroom and how it impacts your sleep. That was amazing for
Oh,
me. Like taking my phone out of my bedroom even and putting it on charge somewhere else, making sure all of the fan lights, everything was all
yeah.
covered up. It pitch black is a beautiful way to
Yeah.
sleep.
Did you feel a difference?
Yeah, like,
Yeah.
I don't know what it was, but it
It's dark
obviously was
melatonin.
that.
You need the darkness for melatonin. Light, reduce, like any kind of light reduces your amount of melatonin that you produce at night, and that is a
Yeah,
signal for your body to do all the nighttime stuff, all the repair, like all the detoxification that mostly happens at night. You need to be in
it's
deep sleep, and you need
huge.
melatonin.
Yeah,
Yeah,
no, it was really useful, but I can see why that was surprising because you knew it, but maybe other people didn't realize it.
yeah, maybe. I
Um,
don't know. Yeah,
you require new members to introduce themselves and connect with at least 2 other members right
yeah.
away. How important has that peer-to-peer connection been for members, for success and retention?
Actually, I don't know, because I feel like even though I have, I think I have 100 and change members. I don't think most of them are that active.
Yeah.
Um, I think people just when they well, let me say it again. When people see something that they're interested in, they'll comment. I see a lot of
Mm,
members talking to each other in the comments, and without necessarily having to be prompted. So I actually don't know how much. I know like every community sort of every community about building a community that I've seen sort of like tries to engineer the like comment on another people's comments. But I feel like if it's interesting, people comment.
yeah. I guess it depends on the post itself,
Yeah. So
like
like,
whether it
and I've done it, and like, and I'm thinking back in other communities when I followed their roadmap or whatever, and I comment on other people in, like they have the same setup where it's like, introduce yourself in this thread and then comment on other people, and I do, but then it's like that's kind of the end of it because I'm just gonna thing. Versus if someone's posting something interesting, or someone I see a comment on a post that's interesting, like I'm way more likely to interact with that person back and forth. So I don't know, but again, I'm not an expert in community building, so take my
Yeah.
take my community building comments with a grain of salt.
I mean, we're all learning, right? Like,
Yeah,
I think most of the people I interact with are still learning how to do it.
yeah.
Um, but how do you protect your own energy and nervous system whilst holding a space for a community focused on stress and hormone issues?
That's a great question. There's a saying that says that doctors make the worst patients.
Oh, so do nurses.
So I will say I have not been great at it. I'm getting better because I'm seeing the effects of, because I would say I've been really doing this community since June. So June last year. So it's been 6 months, but really being on it way more, I would say, since maybe 2 months ago, that I was kind of posting more every day or multiple days. Like my community had like went from like 1,000 in discovery to 200 and change in the past like 2-3 weeks, because I've been on it way more.
Mm.
So I'm definitely need to take my own advice a little bit more, follow my own advice, and just like I've started to just after like 9 p.m. just like stop, like close things and not do anymore, and then just putting my phone further away from me. so it's inconvenient to get it. Those are two strategies that have been working decently. Because it's more like that, like kind of, because I didn't have social media for forever because I deleted it years ago. I just started it back up for the business. Like I'm never on social media for like myself. But school has been has been the new thing of like interacting with all these people, and like I enjoy it, but at the same time I can't be on it all the time. Like I need to go outside.
It's great, but it still can be addictive, can't it?
Yeah,
Like,
yeah. It's definitely at least it's a addictive positive energy. So that is cool. But it's still too much screen time, and also because it's in the end, as much as like I said, I love the free community. I love the idea of providing a lot of value for free, but it's also part of my business. So there's also that kind of different level of focus of, okay, what am I going to post today? Or like what am I going to, like, how I'm going to build this, like also creating social media content to attract more people, just networking in other communities. Like it's a lot of work to start a business. So
yeah,
yeah,
it's like a separate identity. So when you're using your business social media platform or Skool, it's like you're doing work, really. It's all networking.
Yeah.
Running your community.
Yeah, as much as I enjoy it, and like sometimes I just get carried away talking to people because it's fun, in the end is also like a work element, and it can be very stressful. So I gotta get better at protecting my own. You shouldn't do work.
It's the same thing. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And it's the same. Like you don't do work before you sleep. So like, why would you be on your phone?
Exactly.
Exactly. But I do it too. I think we're all guilty of it.
Yeah.
Now your tagline on the community says no hacks and no extremes.
Yeah.
That's quite a difference from a lot of wellness content online. So what made you take that stance, and how do you communicate that philosophy to both your YouTube and your Skool community?
Yeah, I'm still figuring out how to communicate it. That's definitely still at least communicate it in a way that resonates with people. But I just don't think hacks and extremes work. Let me rephrase. There's some extremes that can work temporarily, okay, like for a short period of time. Like for example, a carnivore diet, right? That people will consider that an extreme diet. If you're in an extreme situation, like a really severe autoimmune disease, you might, there might be a time and a place for a short-term, extreme move, kind of, and I would say even traditional medicine would probably agree with me, like chemotherapy is pretty extreme, but there might be a time and a place, or surgery sounds pretty extreme, but there might be a time and a place. But in general, the idea of like just going extreme diet, extreme workout, or just or hacks, like just do this one thing and it's going to change everything, is like, it's just not true. It's just not gonna, like, it's not gonna work for you long term. Like I think there's studies, like for example, like the calorie restriction, which may not sound like an extreme, but most people who lose weight through calorie restriction, they'll gain it back once they're like within a year or two, they get like 80%. I forget what the numbers are, but there's studies on this, following people who go through even moderate calorie restriction. First, is like it's very hard to do unless you're in a locked up ward where they control your diet. And even after you're done, most people gain the weight back, right? So starving yourself to lose weight, or like it's usually diet and exercise, the two extremes that people do, or maybe ice baths every day, or extreme fasting, or these things like that. I just don't think they work long term. I think most of the time they create more stress, especially in the modern world where everyone is already stressed. Most people are already depleted on a nervous system level. Going more extreme is just going to make them more stressed out. It might work, like you might lose weight, but you might also lose some muscle mass, and you're probably not going to feel very good. And in such an intricate and interconnected system, like we talked about, like how circadian talks to sleep, talks to hormones, talks to digestion, talks to all the other systems in your body, you're not going to, like, how do you, like, this one thing may work for someone, but it may not work for you. Like, you need to look at all the clues and figure out like what is actually going on, and then make small sustainable changes so that, keyword sustainable, right? You want to be able, the changes that you make, you want to be able to keep those tools for the rest of your life. And when I say tools, because you can, as life changes and your system changes, you might need to make changes. Not everything that works today is going to work tomorrow, but you'll have the tools to make the adjustments that you need to do, and you'll know how to make a sustainable habit change when you need to, instead of trying to like do this one extreme thing, like a 30-day juice fast. And it's like, okay, what happens after those 30 days? Like, are you going back to what you were doing before? Because you can't do a juice fast forever. But if you do small sustainable changes, then you get to a new habits that are actually you can maintain for the rest of your life. Nourish yourself. You can nourish yourself for the rest of your life. You can move in a sustainable way for your body for the rest of your life. You can go outside, ground, and get sunlight for the rest of your life. Things like that.
It comes back down to everyone is unique and different. And it's all situational, but also at the same time, it's sort of like you're setting the foundations for change in general.
Mm-hmm.
Because like when you age, you're going to have to do something differently if
Exactly.
your body changes. And it's different for men and women, and different for different cultures. Yeah, no, it makes a lot of sense.
It's different for everyone within. I feel like the framework can be the same for everyone, but the details will be different.
Yeah,
because we're still the same species. So I feel like, like it's like a different dichotomy, because everyone says like everyone's so different. Yes, but we're still the same species. Like there's still things that we still all need. We still all need like quality deep sleep. We still all need a nutritious diet of whole individual ingredient foods. We still all need rest and joy and connection and social engagement with others, right? So the specifics of within that is going to be different, but there is a framework that everyone needs still. Everyone needs sunlight, things like that.
And I think there was a call that you hosted, and we talked about how living on different sides of the equator means that you, say, for example, get different levels of sun exposure.
Yeah.
So that's probably where those differences are. The people that live in, say, is it Alaska, where they have less sunlight? Less duration of daylight. They would need more exposure to sun than someone who is in Australia, for example. Would that be right?
I don't know if they need more. I would say you need whatever I would say if you live in like the Arctic, you don't necessarily need more sunlight than what you get in the Arctic. People lived in the Arctic and were healthy. It's just the diet you're gonna have is gonna be, like you get the Inuit who eat only animal foods and a very high fat diet, and that is healthy for them. They probably could not handle as many carbohydrates as someone who lives in the tropics, who has access to way more sunlight. So they can handle more, because the light has an effect on your metabolic processing of sugar and glucose, and was other things that I don't know if you've ever heard of deuterium, but that's like a whole other rabbit hole, which has to do with the type of food that you eat, and the type of food in the tropics has way higher deuterium, but you have more sun exposure, so it kind of it balances out. But if you give that diet, if you give that like tropics diet to someone living in the Arctic that doesn't have access to that same sunlight, that's when the problems start. So you don't need more than what you have in your environment. The only caveat is potentially skin, like a melanin level. Like if you have really dark skin, you may not thrive in the Arctic, because you genetically might need more sunlight to get more, because you have melanin, preventing you from absorbing the things that you need. You were ancestrally you were adapted to a very high UV environment, which should be very low in the Arctic. So I would say that's more the issue, but the cold can compensate for the lack of sunlight from a mitochondrial efficiency. So that's why people in the Arctic, they're exposed to cold. So that's why, like, if you do live if you do live in the Arctic or further away from the equator, the more you're indoors and not exposed to the cold, not exposed to your environment, the more you're gonna run, and the more you try to live as if you lived in the equator when you don't live in the equator, the more problems you're gonna potentially have. Yeah, theoretically, right? This is all.
Yeah. And it makes sense with the hundreds of millions of years of evolution. Like that's where it's the environment that we've sort of evolved in. That's why
that's why you say something like, we all need a nutritious diet. Well, what does that look like in the equator versus in the Arctic? It's different, but there's still some similarities in the sense of like, they both have animal foods, they both have animal fats, and then they have local produce. Now, in the case of the Arctic, there is no local produce, so they don't have any. But in the equator, they do, and they seem to be doing fine. Like if you look at like the Hadza, like one of the tribes in like I think it's Tanzania, but they're pretty they're pretty equatorial, and they eat a ton of carbohydrates, like from honey and plants, and they seem to be pretty healthy. But they live very. Not only do they live in the equator, they actually live grounded, circadianly aligned, good community bonds, joy, rest, sleep. They have all the other stuff too. So, yeah,
it makes a lot of sense. One of the reoccurring themes in your missions is this idea of old programming that needs to be overwritten. What is that old programming typically telling people, and how does it get there in the first place?
I think a lot of it is like feeling like it depends on their history, but like feeling like they are not, like their body is broken, like there's something defective in them, because they've had symptoms for a long time, potentially. They went to doctors. Maybe they've been on medications that didn't help them. They've tried the like diet and exercise general recommendations of like eat less, move more, and that made them feel worse. So like they may have never come into contact with information telling them like, well, there's all these other areas of your life that could be affecting your body, and actually it makes sense that restricting made it worse. It made sense, like the fact that you ate less and moved more and felt worse actually is a expected result based on how your body should work. So there's nothing wrong with your body; it's not broken. It's reacting to its environment. And they may have never come across that idea. So then they internalize like, oh, well, I was born this. And also there's so much messaging about like everything's genetic. So you can't do anything about it. The amount of times that with PCOS, there's a few times like that I've mentioned that I've reversed my PCOS, and I've heard things like, well, like you can't reverse PCOS. Like maybe, like you have it for life. And it's like, well, but I don't have any. Like if someone was to try to diagnose me right now, I would not meet the criteria of diagnosis. It's like, well, but you had it, like you still have it. Like if you stop doing what you're doing, you'll get it back. It's like, okay, but so if I stop eating healthy and like go like sleeping well and taking care of my nervous system, I'm gonna get it back. Okay, like hey, that's just management. Like I've heard that like a lot. Like you're just managing your disease. So I feel like that's just like a pervasive mentality of like, it's this thing that I can't do anything about, and all you can do is manage it. And if these things didn't work, then you just have to live with it. So I think that's where it comes from. And then you start internalizing it into like also your identity sometimes, of like, oh, I'm instead of someone was, I can't remember who was saying this, like, instead of saying my they were trying to correct our wording in school, and instead of saying my MS patient, you would say my patient with MS, right? So like, like kind of not make it part of their identity. It's just like something they're experiencing right now, but doesn't necessarily mean it's part of them. So I think that's where they come from, a lot of the programming, just the general messaging, and especially, well, I can't talk about other areas, but at the very least with women's health is very pervasive. Like so many stories of women who've taken like a decade just to get diagnosed, because they get so dismissed. They go to the gynecologist and like, I'm experiencing like anxiety, and I'm experiencing like these symptoms, and like, oh, it's just you just have your period, and it's like this is just normal female process. And it's like, no, you should not be doubled over in pain, and you should not be like having like extreme emotions like the week before your period. Like that's not normal. It's common, unfortunately, but it's not. It shouldn't be like that. It's not like it's not like, oh, you're just a woman. So that adds to it, just being dismissed for especially if like or your blood work. I've also seen stories of women who have a irregular cycle, like very irregular cycle, which that's at the very least that's a physical symptoms that you can take to a doctor and be like, hey, this is a physical thing that's happening. This is not just me being anxious or having this like mental emotional symptoms, which can get very much dismissed, unfortunately. It's like a physical symptom. I'm having this irregular period. And then they do blood work, another blood work is normal. And they go, oh, the blood work is normal, so would you like a birth control pill? And it's like, well, so like, I guess that's just, so then the message there is like, I guess that's just how my body is. And it's like, no, like, yeah, there's something that maybe did not show up in the testing.
Imagine what that does to the person's mentality as well. When you think like there's nothing you can do about it, back to the polycystic ovarian syndrome, if you think that there's nothing you can do to reverse that illness and you just have to live and manage it, you just want to give up, wouldn't you? Like it just gets exhausting if you just keep managing it and your symptoms don't improve. And then I remember like hearing a lot about type 2 diabetes mellitus. Like a lot of people were shocked when they found out, a lot of patients were shocked when they found out that it's actually possible to reverse it. They thought once they were diagnosed, that was what their title was. They were a diabetic, and I hated that term. It's not diabetic. They are a person with diabetes. They are still a person. Like,
exactly.
It's frustrating.
It is very
but
frustrating.
I feel positive that it's coming. I think the world in health in general is coming to that realization a bit more. Like, how do you feel about that?
I agree. I think I'm seeing more and more people wanting better answers and like not accepting like the conventional stuff. And I'm actually surprised how many most people who are in my community, like even though they might not be doing great or they might need more help, they're all very curious people, and they're people who like have they already kind of come with like a lot of knowledge. As as much as they can get without having gone through school, but still there's so much knowledge out there now that you can get for free, that so many people are just are taking the time to learn. So
especially if it's personally impacting their life, whether it be themselves or loved one. Like people will spend the time to learn and they'll do a deep dive and they'll eventually get the right information. So it is kind of beautiful in that sense.
It's hard because there's so much contradictory information out there too. So you have to really be very discerning and maybe listen to different points of views and like see what makes the most sense to you. But the information is out there, at least.
Yeah, and I think eventually you can sort of gauge people who are genuinely trying to help rather than maybe sell a hack or something like that. Now, you on your Skool community, the Hormone Hub, you have people create a symbol and a thriving profile on day 2, essentially changing their story, their body is responding to. So that's quite different from just giving meal plans or protocols. Why did you start with identity and mindset rather than just jumping straight into tactics?
Well, I think you have to be ready to make a change. Before you actually make the change. And I think the mindset just have to come first. You have to be, you can tell like someone all the information you want, but if they're not ready to actually make a change, they're not going to. And I think the self-talk and also the things that I talk about are a little bit different in some areas than the majority of the health and wellness space. So there's also the idea of like being open to like new ideas. So I don't know, but I do think that the mindset is just the most important part, and the nervous system is so important too, because yes, the diet can definitely help if you have like a really terrible diet to a really good diet. But a lot of the people that I talk to don't have like the worst diet. Like there's still a lot of things that I would change, but they're not like most of the people that are coming to me are not on the standard American diet, right? So there's usually something else going on this. Like we talked about, like everyone's so stressed out, just for modern life, but also just terrible relationships, past issues that they've had that they've never worked through, being dismissed a lot by doctors. So I feel like just changing that programming is kind of like the first step. before you're like, okay, like let me kind of like try and move one step, at least one little step away from that, all that baggage, and like see these recommendations that are going to come in the next videos with a new, like, refreshed light, instead of being like one more thing in the sea of things that you should be doing for your health.
I really like the saying that mindset is the foundation of all transformation. That once you get into the right mindset, it's literally possible to change anything within you, I believe.
True.
Yeah.
I agree.
What's been the most rewarding success story or transformation that you've witnessed in the Hormone Hub? Would it be that insomnia client member
I would say
that we
so,
spoke?
because we worked on it like one-on-one, and it was, I think I enjoy, or I find rewarding when I see people like make the connection that they hadn't made before, and like sort of almost regain the hope that they can make a change now, because it is a new paradigm. And it's not, and like I have a couple of people in the community too who have not necessarily worked one-on-one with me. They just did the things on the community, who like also were like, I'm realizing now how my stress is messing with my, like my energy, and or like this food, I made these few changes in foods, like just eating more protein. It's this one person who like is like eating more protein and less like of certain foods, and it's like, oh, my bloating has gone down, and now I can like, and I'm seeing the effects in other areas that I didn't think of were digestion related. So like that's where I find the most rewarding, when people are like, oh, like starting to like make those, connecting those clues and being like, oh, now I things just make sense. And I'm seeing a path forward from that, like, new understanding.
That's beautiful. Like you go in for one thing and then you realize like how much that impacts everything, and that's going
Yeah.
back to like everything is connected. The body
Yeah.
systems work together.
Yeah.
And where do you see the Hormone Hub evolving over the next year? Are there features or programs that you're thinking of adding or you're excited for?
There's no specific program that I'm building. I would like to just grow in. I would like to have more people in there, going through and getting more feedback before I build anything more. I'm mostly right now doing like free, and then whoever wants more support working one-on-one with me. So everything that I'm building right now is going to continue to be free. So there's nothing like huge project, because if originally I thought about doing like a self-paced sort of 12-week course, but that I think before I get there, I want to get more people through my one-on-one to see, to make sure that that's good. But it's also a lot of work to build that, because there needs to be enough of choose your own adventure within it, because everyone's so different. So it needs to be very well, like it'll take a long time to really build that. I would like to do it eventually, but probably not this year. And then eventually I would like to get big enough to where I can run cohorts instead of individuals, just because I think there's a benefit in group support of people going through the same stuff. But of course, that's going to be down the line. So I don't have a lot of, what I'm focused on this year is just growing, because I feel like I started a few things recently. Like I started doing challenges or missions, monthly missions, this month. So I'm hoping that is also, that's, I would say, the newest feature. The 5-day sort of intro mini course. Also, I think I launched it in December. It was like a month ago. I think it was the first 5 days of December. So like it was only, so that just came out this month. So I would say those are the two main new features, and I want to do more live calls more frequent, because right now they were once a month. Now I have a little bit more time on a daily basis, not daily, but like on a weekly basis, to do more of them. So I want to do more of those.
Yeah. And now, because we have a bit more time, I had a question in mind to ask you. What was your mission? What was your drive to starting this community? And what, if you're comfortable talking about it, what got you to start practicing as a naturopathic doctor in the first place?
Yes. Yeah, my story is public, so I can definitely
Yeah.
talk about it. So I
Yeah.
had PCOS myself. It's polycystic ovarian syndrome. Is a hormonal dysregulation, female hormonal dysregulation diagnosis. Yeah, I know you know, but just for anyone listening,
Yeah, of course.
when I was a teenager, I never had a regular period up until I was 19. At that point, I had like maybe one period a year. It was like very, very regular, and I was told I was going to grow out of it until I, in 2019, had a hemorrhage, unexplained hemorrhage, like all the periods came at once. And I was hospitalized, got a couple blood transfusions in the 5 days that I was there. That's when I was diagnosed with PCOS, because up until then, I was just going to grow out of my irregular periods and was put on hormones, medications, because I was not thinking about natural medicine at the time. And then when I was 20, so I was on birth control for probably like 4 years, because when I was 23 is when I by happenstance had like someone in my circle who was doing the paleo diet. And the paleo diet, it was the first time that it made sort of sense to me. A diet, any kind of diet made sense to me, because it was every time I heard about a diet before then was like a crash like weight loss diet, or maybe like vegetarian veganism, which never really made sense to me. And this one was like the first time I was like, oh, this is what humans used to eat before modern times. Makes sense. Started learning about it. I changed my diet. I actually found a naturopathic doctor to work with, because I was trying to find a doctor that would, because as I was reading about the diet, it was literally the opposite of the guidelines back then. This was what 2000, and I don't know, like 15 years ago.
Yeah.
And I was like, okay, I need to find a doctor who's like on board with this diet. So looking through the diet, I only found naturopaths. I didn't find any medical doctors. I was like, I don't even know what this is, but I'm gonna go see one. And I went to see one, and she kind of helped me a little bit more. But it was mostly the diet and some of the lifestyle stuff that I did, and slowly I got off medication and started getting my periods back. And yeah, and then like as I've noticed that most of my free time was spent learning about health, I was like, okay, I have to go back to school and like now do this for other people, because I was kept being like more like, this is insane how like everything that we're told is healthy, not everything, but a lot of things that we're told are healthy are not, and a lot of things that we're told are unhealthy are actually healthy. So it's like it was just like, and you know, like again, like no medical doctor told me I could ever reverse my PCOS. It was like, oh, you have to be on birth controls for life. So being like, how is nobody telling me about diet, like to change this? And so yeah, so that's why I went back to school. And the first part of the question was about this, like what my
Your
intention,
mission.
my mission.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, I think I just really want to empower people, and in this case, women, because this kind of happens to be my story, and my community is now being more geared towards women, but people in general, to take control of their health, and that they have way more power than they're told, and that I always try to, when I say like, oh, like maybe we do a first intake with someone, and you know, they have like they have this symptom, the digestion issue, this other symptom, and like they're eating like this, and like they have all this like what seeming like an overwhelming things that they could improve. I like to reframe that as like, you actually have a lot of levers to pull, like you actually have a lot of power and a lot of levers that you can pull to improve your situation, instead of being overwhelmed by like all the different symptoms that you experience. And I think that is my mission, is kind of like changing that, reframing that idea into like, you actually have a lot more control than you think. It'll take time and work, but it can be small and sustainable things that you do. You don't have to overhaul your whole life in like overnight.
That's beautiful, Evelyn. You're giving people hope. Like you said, like there's a lot of distress with health issues, especially in all of the aspects of health, like lack of access, the cost, and the strength and energy it takes. But something as simple as your diet change, something as simple as just small lifestyle changes that anyone
just going
can do.
outside, like literally just going outside, like which is free, or opening a window, that can make a
Yeah.
difference. Like if within just opening windows, being outside, putting your feet on the ground, like all those things, and going to sleep earlier. Like all those things are free that you can start doing. For the most part, most people can start doing it. There's always exceptions, like if you have like a third shift or something like that, if you work nights, or
but anything's possible. You can always make a way. Yeah.
Yeah, you can always still make changes to improve your situation.